Hey everybody, welcome to Clue Sheet 5, multiplying decimals with whole numbers. So we're going to complete this sheet and then you should be ready to solve the mystery of who has been making the donuts disappear. When you're ready, find the Solve the Mystery page in the Friday folder. Complete that page and submit it. Okay, let's take a look at the directions. These directions tell us to crack the code by completing the multiplication questions. Use your answers to match and place the letters in the boxes to reveal the last clue. Put the letter in every box that it matches your answer in. There may be more than one. Okay, so let's take a look at this first problem. We're going to multiply 65 and 32 hundredths times 4. Think for a second about what you know about multiplication. Here we're going to use the multiplication algorithm to figure out how big is 4 groups of 65 and 32 hundredths, which is pretty close to 65. So if we wanted to estimate, begin by thinking about how big 4 groups of 65 is. 4 groups of 50 will give you 200. So I'm going to estimate that this is going to be pretty close to around 250. If my answer is way bigger or way smaller than 250, then I know I probably have a mistake somewhere. Another important thing to note when we're multiplying numbers that have a decimal in them is that you do not have to line up the numbers by place value. Notice that my 4 is all the way over here underneath my hundredths place, even though this is 4 wholes. So it's not like I'm putting the 4 over here in the ones place. I don't need to do that. Okay, now I can just go ahead and start multiplying. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. Put down the 2, carry the 1. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 more is 21. Put down the 1 and carry the 2. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 2 more is 28. So now I've got this pretty large number, but I haven't put my decimal point in yet, and that's important. Notice that I have 2 digits to the right of my decimal point in my first number. And then in my second number, I have no digits to the right of my decimal point. Since I have 2 digits to the right of the decimal point here, I need to make sure that I have 2 digits to the right of the decimal point in my answer. That makes my answer 281 and 28 hundredths. When I compare that to my estimate, which was 250, it's close enough to be reasonable. So now what I need to do is look at my clue sheet, and anytime I see this number in my clue sheet, I'm going to write the letter R. Okay, so I looked through and I only found one R in my clue sheet so far. Let's move on and look at the second problem, which is 15 and 6/10 times 9. So this is like figuring out how many are in 9 groups of about 16. Well, let's think about this for a second. If I round my 9 to 10 and figure out what 10 groups of 16 is, I'll get 160. So my answer should be a little less than 160. And if my answer is way bigger or way smaller than that, I know that I've made a mistake somewhere. Now I can go ahead and start multiplying. So 9 times 6 is 54. I'm going to put down the 4 and carry the 5. 9 times 5 is 45. Plus 5 more is 50. Put down the 0 and carry the 5. 9 times 1 is 9. Plus 5 more is 14. Now I need to figure out where to put my decimal point. I only have 1 digit to the right of my decimal point in my first factor, and I have no digits to the right of my decimal point in my second factor. So I just need to make sure that I have one digit to the right of my decimal point in my answer. So my answer is 140 4/10. So anywhere I see that number in my chart, I need to add the letter U. Remember, there could be more than one of each letter, but I think I only see one U, so I'm going to leave that the way it is. Okay, so I'm going to let you solve the next few problems on your own. And I'm just going to go over one more problem with you, which is one in which you have to multiply your decimal amount by a double-digit number. That one will be a little trickier, so we'll do that together. Okay, so we're going to multiply 1 59/100 times 12. Again, notice that I don't have to line up my digits by place value. I just push them as far over to the right as I can. Let's begin by estimating what our answer might be close to. I'm going to figure out what 12 groups of 1 59/100 is, which I'm going to say is close to 2. So 12 times 2 is 24. So my answer should be somewhere close to 24. If my answer is way bigger or way smaller than that, I probably have a mistake somewhere. Okay, now I can start multiplying. 9 times 2 is 18. Put down the 8 and carry the 1. 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 1 more is 11. Put down the 1 and carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 more is 3. Now I need to remember, absolutely make sure that you put your 0 as a placeholder. Cross out the ones place and the numbers that you've already added or carried. Then continue multiplying. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 5 is 5. And 1 times 1 is 1. Then you can add your partial products. Lastly, figure out where your decimal point should go. I have 2 digits to the right of my decimal point in my first factor. My second factor doesn't have any digits to the right. So I need to make sure that I have 2 digits to the right of my decimal point in my answer. That puts my answer at 19 8/100, which is close enough to my estimate that I think it's reasonable. Then I just need to add the letter S anywhere I see that number in my chart. So go ahead and finish this up and see if you can crack the case of the mystery disappearing donuts.